I've had my Tesla Model 3 standard range for a few months now, and I thought I'd do my first of a series of check-ins about my ownership and overall experience with it. The Model 3 is the first of a variety of EVs I plan to own, with a focus on being used as outdoor adventure vehicles. I've got over 4,200 kilometers on the odometer, and I'm only 3 months in. It's not showing any signs of degradation yet. I don't have any charging options at home because I live in an older apartment building. There's not even a 120 volt outlet that I could plug into if I wanted to. So I've been subsisting entirely off of Tesla superchargers. There's one that's only like 5 minutes away from me, as well as the occasional level 2 charger. Depending on how low the battery is, how cold it is, and if there's a car in the stall next to me sharing the power load, usually takes anywhere from 20 minutes to 40 minutes to fully charge the car from about 10-20% all the way up to full. It usually costs me somewhere between $20 and $25. Now, I've only owned it during the coldest parts of winter, so it'll be interesting once the warmer weather comes to compare to what the charging cost and time is like. Now, keep in mind that my specific Tesla model, the rear-wheel drive, is unique in that unlike the other Tesla models, which all use NCA, lithium-ion chemistry, my car uses lithium iron phosphate, and it is a lot more resistant to degradation from fast charging. And it actually likes to be charged up to 100% so that the BMS can properly calibrate itself. I'm only charging the car once a week anyways, unless I'm on a road trip, and the Model 3 is our primary family car when it's not being used for Mike in the Woods adventures. I've gone on 2 trips with the Model 3 so far. One was the winter camping trip to Silent Lake Provincial Park, where I slept inside the car to test out camp mode in winter conditions and to see what sleeping inside the car was like. And that trip actually went pretty well, all things considered. Lots of room in the back with the rear seats folded down to sleep, as long as I keep my camping gear to a minimum. I plugged into a 120 volt outlet overnight, and the power supplied was just enough to keep the battery at exactly the same that it was when I went to bed, which kept the HVAC powered overnight and maintained a 15 degrees Celsius interior cabin temperature. And I actually do have the proper RV TT30P plug adapter now, so I can plug into that next time, and that way not only can I power camp mode throughout the night, but I will actually gain a charge overnight. And the second trip I went on was actually to test out the rest of my car camping gear, namely my tent for when I don't feel like sleeping in the car. Say, for example, I don't have shore power to plug into and I don't want to run camp mode overnight. And all the gear I showcased in that video serves as the basis of what will grow into my overlanding gear for my Cybertruck. So, on both trips, I got the car stuck in snow. It's a combination of it only being a rear-wheel drive as opposed to an all-wheel drive, and I didn't have winter tires on. The first time I actually had to call around to several different tow truck companies before I finally got one that was a 40-minute drive away to come out just to pull me a few feet sideways. That cost me $280. Now, the second time around, I did sort of learn from my mistake in that I actually did go out and buy some traction pads, and thankfully the second time I got stuck, a combination of those and some of the guys I was camping with helping push, I managed to get the car unstuck to get to the end of the driveway onto plowed road. So yeah, unfortunately when you're on some pretty slippery icy snow, even with slip start enabled, it's really hard to get moving from a standstill. Once you're actually moving though, the car actually does have really good traction control, and trying to get unstuck in both of those incidents, I definitely put some premature wear on my tires. I'll have to keep an eye on my tread depth on those rear tires, man. When it comes to actually driving the car, I love it. I'll never own another gas car again. It's just so smooth to drive. I don't know how else to describe it. With some people, they're all about the noise and the vibrations. That's fine. That's their prerogative. But for me, I love the exact opposite. The smooth, quiet acceleration, the instant response of the braking and acceleration, and when you turn the HVAC off, it is so silent inside the car. It's so quick and nimble compared to the other car I own, a Mazda 3, and on long stretches of highway, the basic autopilot that's included for free with every Tesla is amazing for doing a lot of the hard, long, and boring work. With all of the buzz that Tesla's full self-driving program gets, I unfortunately feel like the very capable and very amazing basic autopilot gets left behind in all the buzz. It is really good at highway driving. Now, that being said, I have experienced phantom braking quite a lot. So one common concern that people have looking at the Model 3 and the Model Y, and I myself was a little bit worried about acclimating to it, was the lack of an instrument cluster on the front dashboard. All you have is the center tablet for your speed and everything else that you need to look at. And honestly, it didn't take me as much getting used to as I thought. It was actually pretty much within the first few minutes, my first time in the car, that I was actually finding myself used to it. I mean, aside from checking your speed to make sure you're staying under the speed limit, what else are you really looking at while you're driving? One of the things Teslas have that I find really, really useful is the ability to save seat, steering wheel, and side view mirror positions on a per driver basis. Since both me and the wife both flip-flop back and forth between using the Model 3, having it automatically move everything into place for that driver has been insanely useful. Every time you make an adjustment to your seat position, your steering wheel position, your side view mirrors, all that gets saved to your profile. And when you switch to another driver, everything automatically moves into place for that driver in the last position that it was saved at. Such an underappreciated feature. Not accounting for major accidents or any defects, I expect this car will last us well over a decade. Long after we get the Cybertruck overlanding set up, long after we get the EV campervan project set up and going, long after we get the Aptera for long-range road trip adventures, this Model 3 will still be with us. And you guys will be here for every step of the way. And if you want to see all my crazy EV outdoors adventures, click the card.